All right, we're back with another special guest. He is a keyboardist, songwriter, singer, and all around producer. Will you please welcome Darren Stakey?
Hey Jay, great to see you. Happy to
Yeah,
be
I
here.
see you got a nice setup there, your keyboard, your drum kit. You are ready to rock.
Yeah, you said it. I'm coming to you from the auxiliary room of Wildwood Productions studio offices. So we have all sorts of instruments lying around for anybody who wants to come in and jam with us.
Yeah, well, I know you've got a long history, making music. Tell us about the early days. What are your first memories of hearing music that made you want to play, want to actually participate? And who were some of those artists?
Oh, such a great question. Family and the influences that I had tactile right in front of you experiences were probably some of the most formative for me as a musician. I'm told, don't exactly remember, but I'm told that my carriage used to sit beside my mother while she sang in church, choir stuff. And I've had a fairly long background singing in the church, and that was sort of my transition to musicianship. And then from there, I played instruments and sang in school all the way throughout. And it just sort of never left me. It's only grown as time has progressed.
Yeah, well, so many of the greats, they started singing in church and have that background, that communal feeling of singing together with others and playing, with a message, kind of having a purpose to what you were doing. Now, did you listen to the radio growing up, or was it somebody's record collection that got you spawned into hearing some of the more contemporary artists?
My mother's ears are going to be ringing because shout out to her again. Yeah, I absolutely commandeered and inappropriately used her 45s, and all of her record collection was entirely pilfered by me growing up and exploring artists like Pink Floyd, The Cars, The Police. Oh, I know you've had some experience with. Primarily my idols of the classic rock genre, or even their progenitors, was the Beatles, and huge influences on me. Also, absolutely listened to pop and went through the trends throughout the period of my life on the radio, and still I think such a great indicator of where we're moving as a society. What's the temperature of the culture. You absolutely find that by listening to the radio. And now, of course, you got to go on the streaming platforms and you got to discover all of the innumerable artists and unbelievable talents that are out there doing their thing outside of the traditional model. So I try to keep my ear to the ground. I don't think any one person could possibly keep up with the volume of music that gets released now. So some of the battle for even up and coming artists is trying to emerge above that pack, or to try to find a line to get into listeners' ears. But there's a lot of great music out there, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of collaborations with amazing musicians, and it never ceases to amaze me, the extent of human talent and brilliance. People have unique talents, and the musicianship comes out in different ways. But I've learned so much from just listening to artists perform, and the way they maybe attack phrases or even use breath control. I pick it up from professionals to novices. I think there's so much to learn from that, and you can't learn if you don't listen, right? Can't be in it. Got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, no, it's a plethora. I look back at the early days, decades ago, and you know, anybody could play in their basement or their garage or their room, but to put out a record, to get in the stores, to get on the radio and all that, it took something special, and These days, it's kind of brought it down to the lowest common denominator, where anybody with a cell phone or a computer can make music and upload it and all of that. I mean, people are still going crazy for the Beatles, hence the Get Back,
Yes.
documentary, and just seeing the magic of, 1+1, a Paul McCartney and a John Lennon getting in the same room with all those incredible influences. I credit a lot of their creativity to those years woodshedding in Hamburg and these little, small little cavern clubs, and, where they were bashing out, Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Buddy Holly covers. They
Right.
kind of really learned what it took to make a great record. And then it just blossomed, when they got in there with George Harrison and Ringo Starr. When you look back at the magic of the Beatles and that entire catalog that will live for centuries was all made in like a 7-year period. What do you think the method to the madness was?
Oh man, I think you did nail it, Jay. I think that there's an evolution, and that it all began, at least for the Beatles, with that time that they spent with each other, and it was just 2 rooms, and they would alternate, 2 in a room, and those guys were the only people they saw the first thing they woke up and the last thing they saw going to bed, constantly playing. I mean, there's lots of stories about, George Harrison playing till his fingers bled, and any guitarist can tell you it's actually easier to do than you think. But yeah, that chemistry that they had playing off each other over that time, I think was monumental to them. And as in my experience playing with bands as well, I think that there's a lot to be said about that chemistry, that camaraderie, that friendly rivalry. Well, John wrote a song called Strawberry Fields, so why don't I put out Penny Lane and do like a friendly competition in my version of a location song, and then let's sit together in a room and have a writing session. I think some of the most impressive things about that Get Back documentary that you were referencing is to see the amazingly fast time that it took them to write songs that have become so iconic, so embedded in popular culture. I mean, they're going to be around for hundreds of years. Forget about generations, maybe millennia, who knows? And they wrote things in the space of a couple weeks. And that definitely comes down to their unbelievable musicianship and talent. But as you know, they weren't classically trained. It was the guys playing a chord and saying, "Hey, Billy, what chord is this?" And as I'm speaking of Billy Preston, the keyboard player that joined them for that rooftop session, talk about musicianship. What an unbelievable talent he was. But I think one of the best lessons is you can be the most talented guy in the world, but you got to be in the right place at the right time. You got to have the right attitude. There was Billy Preston, who came by to visit the Beatles just to say hi. And the next thing you know, he's on those records. And they said, "Well, great. We need a keyboard player. Oh, you want in?" And he said, "Sure," and nailed it. Next thing you know, I mean, those keyboard lines are iconic. I mean, I have harkened back to myself as an influence when I'm doing my songwriting.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Preston, they call him the fifth Beatle or the sixth Rolling Stone. I mean, he was right there, and both of the biggest bands in the world loved what he brought. And of course, both of those bands absolutely idolized American artists. Their heroes were all American. Like I say, a Chuck Berry or a Everly Brothers,
right,
or a Little Richard, or
yeah,
these guys were everything to them. I remember even when the Beatles met Elvis Presley, they were like little high school girls or little grade school girls, giggling. They couldn't even speak, in the presence of the Big E. I mean, it was unbelievable the love they had for American music. And I know so many American artists grew up idolizing these British bands, but
right.
they hopefully realized later that it was the love for the American artists that spurred them on and there's this love affair going back and forth over the, Atlantic Ocean, for so many decades now, that our brothers and sisters, in the UK and Europe have, loved what our country has brought the world. And you see it when you hear the Beatles talk about, and you just look at the covers. You look at the cover songs they did on their early records, and they were all American artists. Tell us about, a song inspiration yourself. And I know you're set up to play. If you'd like to play and sing one of your favorite songs that you wrote that you're most proud of.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'd be happy to play for you. I'm sort of on a little bit of a promotional kick, trying to bring awareness to my new holiday release, Don't Light the Lights on the Tree Without Me. So I'd be happy to play. That's my latest release. I'd be happy to play it for you if you'd like to hear, and give you a special rendition for you and your listeners.
Please do.
Your viewers. You want me to get into it?
Yes.
Now the garlands all hung up, logs are on the fire, gingerbread eggnog in your cup, one thing more required. Make me a promise, can I ask? All I wanna know, while you're warm and cozy in your bed and I'm rushing through the snow, don't light the lights on the tree without me. It makes a house a home, and us a family. They said that the best things in life are free. Don't light the lights on the tree without me. More than presents under the tree. That's what Christmas means to me. Oh, how I hate to leave you when it's time to say goodbye. But the look on your face at the love in my eyes is enough to get by. And so when the Yuletide comes rolling in, and I just want you to know, part of me will stay right here, even when I go. Don't light the lights on the tree without me. It makes our house a home, and us a family. They said that the best things in life are free. Don't light the lights on the tree without me. More than presents under the tree. And that's what Christmas means to me.
Fantastic.
Like
That's Darren Stakey live right here. And we really know that you've got a lot of songs that you've written. You come up with a lot of hooks that you're, continuously developing. Do you feel that some of your best songs come pretty fast? Some people say, you got to work at some songs, but the general idea, the hook or something, it kind of funnels through you. It's almost part of everything you've absorbed in your life. How do you feel your best, hooks come to you?
You're so right, Jay. The best songs are simple, and they are easily digestible by the audience and the listener, and they convey a message, A to B, and they don't take all these circuitous routes around. And there's, of course, some amazing complex music out there. And it is absolutely true that a big percentage of my catalog has been almost, I wouldn't say a difficult process, but a labor of love. You go through a whole process where you're pregnant with this song in your brain, and you have an idea, and you have to nurture it and develop it, and then you give it life, and then you sort of watch it grow on its own. But it's absolutely true that songs even like this, Don't Light the Lights on the Tree Without Me, in a way, it's tantamount being to just sort of a conduit to the music. The music already exists, it's out in the ether, and you just need to be the receptacle to receive those tones in that progression and put it right back out there. And I think the songs that I'm most proud of are of that latter vein, are the kinds of songs that, maybe slight elements or an additional bridge or like a verse 2 or 3, they took a minute to come to develop or to change, or that it evolves over time. But all the songs that I'm really truly proud of, that I think and I hope stand the test of time, are songs that really, the outline, the broad strokes were 5-10 minutes. Here it is on the paper, ready to go. And that's just sort of the way it works. I think some of whether you're talking about music or art or composition, inventions, the best sort of things are these eureka moments, these light bulbs where you just have a birth of inspiration. Oftentimes you're not in your conscious brain, your subconscious is taking the lead. I believe it's Willie Nelson who said that he has a songwriting process, and the process is to get in the car. Whenever he has an idea, he gets in the car and drives it out. And through the car ride, the song sort of writes itself, because, and it's dangerous, and it's not necessarily the way it should be, but apparently scientific studies have shown that you don't oftentimes use your conscious brain while you're driving. In a certain way, you go to autopilot, and while your brain is switching in that mode, it opens up other areas, other parts, other hemispheres of your brain, lobes, sections that allow artistry, musicianship to just sort of shine through. It's almost like allowing your dreaming mind, your unconscious mind, what takes over when you sleep, to come to the forefront. I don't have to tell you, I happen to be a very vivid dreamer. And I think a lot of artists tend to be that way. And sometimes they're the most beautiful and wonderful dreams, and sometimes they're awful. But there's this wide spectrum. One thing that my dreams are not, it's commonplace and boring. And if only you could tap into it, that those few moments while they still exist. It's like I'm reminded of the poem Kubla Khan, right? I think the story behind that poem is that the first opening section was what the author woke up from this dream, and the words were just pouring out. And I believe the story goes, as somebody knocked on his door or rang a bell and interrupted him. And when he came back, it was gone. He ultimately labored through and finished it, and went off to talk about, I believe, Girl with the Dulcimer and this other stuff. But when you read the poem, when you read Kubla Khan, you see this fiery rhetoric, this language that's like otherworldly for the first 80%. And then there's this 20% that closes off. Well, that first 80% was sort of his unconscious mind speaking. And then the last 20 was the conscious mind coming back and trying to capture that. So the secret for for a lot of us artists is to tap into our imaginative side, our childlike dreamer version of ourselves, and to allow that to come through in the music.
Yeah, music keeps us young, but more importantly, you have to stay in touch with that child inside of you and have fun with what you do. And even though it might be a business or you might be under pressures of the day or of life, you know, you want to keep that childlike, like you say, the dreamer alive, where you're just loving that song because it makes you feel good. You're not worried about the structure and the chords and what label put it out and where can I get it. It's just an immediate feeling. And like you say, some of the greatest songs ever written were easy to write and easy to consume. And that's why so many of our favorite songs were, like you say, that conduit, you know, from the universe of everything we've absorbed, everything we're, you know, dialed into is just streaming through us. And I know that you know, music means a lot to you, and you have, you know, charities and organizations that are important to you that go right along with the music. Tell us about, you know, any charities that you support and that are important for people to know about.
Absolutely. I believe good works are so important. Doing good. And one of the organizations that I'm most proud to be a part of in that vein is the Sound Justice Initiative. And that's a 501c3 not-for-profit that's located in New York. And it's primarily focusing on the Suffolk jail system at this point and expanding out county by county. And essentially what the mission of the Sound Justice Initiative is to provide liberal arts education, exposure to the arts, and critical reasoning skills to incarcerated individuals. And instead of maybe focusing on like the work stuff, those tactile, here's a trade for you to be able to get out, to give another opportunity to explore some of the artistic sides, all those liberal arts disciplines that can help those individuals get on a path to a better life and a future for themselves and a positive impact, which is, I mean, I think it's a laudable goal, no matter what your political affiliation, whatever race or stripe you ascribe to or come from. The idea that people can grow, and if you give resources to people who've whether by circumstances or even their own fault and their own mistakes growing in, give them an opportunity to grow, then our society can be a better place. It's no good to have a school to prison pipeline. We need to go a jail to higher education pipeline. We need to have a reentry facilities and resources that help, just give a little help. We understand you can't fix all the problems in the world. It's if you start to focus on the monumental issues of the world, it can be so disheartening and you can feel dejected and depressed. But if you just take one little act of doing good, give one little bit of a leg up to a person who's down on their luck or downtrodden, or even if it's by their own design, that can have a monumental impact. It's, as they say, the butterfly effect. You don't realize how transformative just a small kindness can be. And the Sound Justice is this amalgam of many small kindnesses and courtesies and resources, and taking private sector funds to help so that we're subsidizing the work and keeping it out of the state's funding to give those resources to those individuals, and then giving a place for people and goals to better their lives and to have something to look forward to. Sound Justice primarily, the focus is on short-term incarceration, not really prison populations, more the jails. For those people that are sort of in and out, that could be those recidivists and those complete, those repeat offenders, to give them another option, to show another way, and to expose people who might not have had the opportunity to the beauty that's out in the world. And to me, the best, the easiest receptacle to receive that goodness is through the arts. I think humanity's greatest achievements have been artistic in nature. Even the best inventors and scientists have an artistic flair. There's something about being removed and appreciating music that activates both hemispheres of the brain, that sort of encourages a growth above just like the standard plodding along, little by little development that humanity has been doing through our 10,000 years or so of proper development as we are in humans. I think the biggest spurts in human development have absolutely been accompanied by growth in the arts and talented musicians, artists. I think they go hand in hand. So while there's a lot of organizations, musical health related pro bono work that I do, some of the stuff that I'm most proud of is exposing the arts in general to people who might not have had an opportunity or just been in the place in their life that they were ready to receive that info. Give them another chance.
Well, bless you for all that work that you do. And it's so important, as they pulled music and the arts from so many schools, it seems like the first thing they get rid of, and, not everybody's going to be a tech inventor or some technical genius. The music and the arts is the, part of the fabric of our society. It's how we've gotten to where we are today, and so much important to look to the future generations to have the ability to sing and dance and draw and paint and make music, and we encourage that. And I know you run a independent label and production company there, Wildwood Productions.
Yes.
Please tell us where people can follow you on social media and find out about not only your great body of work, but the artists that you promote and help produce.
Oh, thanks for asking that, Jay. You can find me and my music everywhere music is streamed and played. Darren Stakey, DarrenStakey. I also have a stage name whereby I put out a lot of my rock songs, more rock-centered catalog, which is a play on my surname, Stakey, Staykey. And so my social media handles at Stakey Official across platforms. However, I would absolutely direct you instead to check out Wildwood Productions LLC, and similar, Wildwood Productions is our handle on social media. And you can find a whole roster of unbelievably talented artists and people who I personally find inspirational and who's helped me grow in my own musicianship. And they are coming fast and furious. 2021 was a great year for the label and for some of the productions that we've been a part of. But 2022, it is just going to be a phenomenal banner year. I'm so excited about some of the releases that have been in development over the last few months and that are slated for release. And thank you for highlighting that, because I believe not only are we as a label looking to foster talent and to provide resources to up and coming musicians, but there's already a wonderful roster of artists that have accomplished so much in their careers. And I'm just lucky enough to have started something and watch it taking off. And, just like music in individual compositions, my approach to it is building something that will live on beyond me, that will be meaningful to other people. And Wildwood Productions is absolutely that. It's sort of a paradigm changer in terms of what the label is offering to musicians and producers alike in order to find a new way. Music has changed so much, as you know. The old paradigms don't exist anymore. And the records to CDs, to records to tapes to CDs. I'm sure I've skipped a few, to illegal streaming, which then became legitimized, and download processes to now Spotify and the band camps. There's been such a huge progression. And I've been lucky enough to have seen sort of the old paradigms and watched it go through somewhat of a dark age, frankly, in where music was and being devalued. And now it's such an exciting time because it's a bull market for musicians and musicianship. And Wildwood Productions is grabbing those bulls by the horns.
Well, it's great to see you develop other artists. And like you say, there's really something you can learn from every artist out there, whether you instantly like the music or don't think you like the genre. Dig a little deeper, find out where the artist is coming from and really, what drives them. And there's something in there, for you to learn from and grow. And I know every collaboration is a potential to spark the future, and we congratulate you on not only your body of work, but all your artists at Wildwood. We encourage everyone to go check them out on social media. And thank you so much for singing and playing live, and best of luck to you on your holiday music. And of course, all year round, our special guest has been Darren Stakey. Check him out online and please support. And Darren, thanks so much. Happy holidays to you and your family and all of your great artists, and looking forward to charting your progress and getting back on another call soon. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jay. What a pleasure to speak with you. I'm looking forward to the next one.